It's these two guys.
These two guys. It's these two guys.
We live in a time when every word from a public figure is magnified and often weaponized. The line between free speech and professional responsibility is thinner than ever. Free speech should always be protected, but that doesn't mean an employee can say whatever they want on the job without limits. And when you're on a network like Jimmy Kimmel was, your employer has every right to decide if your communication fit the platform that they're paying for. Now, that's not censorship. It's business. The FCC can step in, but only when a clear statute that defines what crosses the line happens. Now, Kimmel's being painted as if he was after Charlie Kirk, personally attacking him, but that's not what happened in his statement the night that he was released. His remarks were directed at the MAGA movement as a whole, not Kirk himself. Saying the assassin was MAGA may have been a huge stretch, but it was no more offensive than early reports that came on that suggested the opposite. And until the investigation into Tyler Robinson is complete, nobody has the full picture. Now, if Kimmel were speaking on his own, outside of the FCC regulations and without a corporate paycheck, he'd likely have the same free speech rights as any individual that would do the same thing. But when you're on the air under contract, it's your employer that sets the boundaries. There can be no two ways about it. He was not acting as an individual for free speech. He was an employee at that time of ABC and the Disney company. So ABC had every right to do what they did. Now, does that mean that there are potential issues down the road when the FCC steps in because they don't like what you said versus that you went farther than a statute allowed you to say? Yes, that does cause a problem. I'm George Henry.
This is Larry Richardson.
And we're these two guys. Wait, I really want to get into this. I want to explore, what's happened this past week with that. Want to do a little more light, not light about Charlie Kirk, because we still feel like that. I mean, that will never change my feelings that was a heinous thing and a sad loss of life for this man and the pain for his family. So that's not going to change. But there was a lot of comedians came out this week and tried to defend Jimmy Kimmel, in a lighthearted way, and maybe not so intense as it was when it all happened last week.
Right.
But so I want to get in, but I just want to catch up with you for a minute and see what the heck's going on, man.
Something light. Shit, nothing's good with me either, man. Man. We just got our raises.
We got a raise?
Are we recording this as for the podcast? Oh, okay.
Why? You're not talking?
I thought we were just talking.
No, we're
all right,
we're going, man.
We'll edit that part out.
No, we won't. No, we won't. No, how much did you get?
Shit.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. Shit. No, what's going on this week? It's just been crazy busy. Yeah. I mean, from waking up in the morning and going to work. Going to work for me is basically getting up and going downstairs.
Going downstairs.
Yeah. The kitchen, I don't even get there. Usually Susie brings me the coffee. So I even have coffee delivered.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, Deb does that for me too. We kind of do that. I'll bring her coffee in bed sometimes.
Yeah, we switch it on and off. Yeah. Not on and off. We switch it. We switch our responsibilities. But
back and forth.
People think, working from home is great. Working from how do you do it? And it's like, you know what? I get off of work after 8 hours and I feel like I have been cutting down trees with a dull axe the entire day.
And the thing is, then you're still home.
And you're still home. Yeah.
Deb did that for a little over a year working for the hospital, doing it from home. Mm-hmm. And when she was at work, she was ready to go do anything other than sit in the house for a little while longer.
Yeah. It's tiring. It is tiring. And it's just all mental stuff, right? You got to think for this person. You got to think for that person. You got to you gotta qual your demeanor when you're dealing with people who forgetting their password for the past, every day for the past 2 weeks straight, and it's just and we have repeat offenders. It's hilarious.
Same people over and over again.
Same people over and over again. And it's funny because our
tell
systems.
Tell everybody a little bit what you do. I mean, just to give them a little background on that.
So basically, I'm just technical support for a pharmaceutical benefits company, and I won't call out any names, but I fix things, right? You need software installed. You got an error message. You need your computer replaced. You just run a gamut of anything and everything that revolves around supporting a end user on a computer. And I know what you do. I have a lot of people in my industry that they can't get onto the same site they got on 2 hours ago. Right. Or, even like and if you're an end user, this, you report an issue and some of the tickets that will come in literally are just as vague. I can't log in. We have thousands of systems that you can log into. So now we got to reach out to them and ask them, what is it that you can't log into?
Yeah, they automatically assume that you know.
Oh, yeah. They're IT. They know exactly what I'm saying. But going through that on a day-to-day basis is it's fun. It's fun. You get to fix things. You get to help people. Yeah. You get to make friends if you're not teasing them first. I don't do a lot of teasing. Yeah. But you get to make friends. But and sometimes you give people shit. There's people that I've worked with for years, the same company, and they'd get on the phone and they'd call, and it's funny because they don't realize that there's caller ID. So they'd say their name and I'd be like, hey, Jesse, what's going on? It's like, how do you know it's me? I said, because I got a big red flashing light that said Jesse's forgot his password for the 4th time this week. It's like, what, seriously? It's like, no, man, I'm just fucking with you.
Yeah, oh man, that's funny.
But no, it's fun, but it can be a little tiring, especially when our company has gone through a transition where it got absorbed by another company. And when you have two different infrastructures that are trying to merge and assume the responsibilities and the data and the processes and all the legal and all that type of stuff.
Learning new platforms
and everything. It is hell.
Well, I had a WTF moment this past week, and I think I shared it with you already, but I haven't shared it with everybody else. Is that there was somebody who friended me on Facebook, and I thought, well, they're local, they knew people I knew, so I thought it'd be a nice, safe, thing to do. Well, it turns out that this person was, just one flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Call those trolls.
Yeah, and she watched our episode on Charlie Kirk, and she just went all over how we were like a couple other people in town that are real liberals and real left wing and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't see how you got any of that from what we were talking about.
Right. It was a very bipartisan
conversation. We tried to give both sides of it and not favoring one over the other. And she just went off. And then she started telling friends of hers that are friends of mine. And then they came to me in the Elks and they're like, who did you vote for in the last election?
Man.
Like, really? Number one, at the Elks, you're not supposed to be discussing politics at the Elks.
Nope.
That is totally taboo. We don't do that. But it's like, I thought, well, I'll tell you who I didn't vote for, and then they said something else. I said, well, I didn't vote for them either. And so you didn't vote in the last election? I said, no, I just didn't vote for the two people that you mentioned.
There you go.
So it was like, so it was like that. And so I had to 86 her from all our platforms.
I noticed that. Yeah, I saw the chat.
She disappeared. So, all right. So that was my WTF moment this week.
Oh man, yeah, I saw that and I was just like, what? I mean, there was nothing that we at least, and if there is, again, comment because we'd like to hear what you've said. And
don't just start. This is what I like about people like that. They just start throwing jabs out about you. They don't respond to what happened. They just start calling names.
Yeah, those
instantly calling names.
One-way mic drop moments. It's like, I want to say what my piece, drop the mic, and then walk away. And not give you a chance to talk or.
Yeah. Or not say, what did you mean by that? Yeah. If there was something that they felt, obviously she felt there was something that made us look like we were
just bashing
left-wing, supporters. Yeah. And I'm like, well, if you feel that, tell me what it is that you saw in there, and let me see if I can straighten you out.
Right.
Because I know I can.
And our ideal is not to try to pit one side against the other. I mean, there's enough temperature right now going on between the left and right. And we want to educate. We want to start a dialogue. We want to, keep a conversation going. We'd like to hear from both sides. We want to hear everything. We want to try to set records straight if we can, or just enlighten people. We're not trying to change anyone's mind.
And at the same time, we're not perfect. Now we do a little research, so we do look at a little bit of stuff here, but that doesn't mean we didn't miss something, because there is so much information out there about everything. So it's possible to miss something, or maybe we said something in our podcast that the day after we did our podcast came out. We don't necessarily go back and try to fix that, or we haven't had that situation happen yet, but we may have to do that. So
I don't know anybody that actually really does. I mean, you might make another video.
Yeah, you might make a video
and clarifying things, but you don't want to pull. That's. I mean, we're not journalists, but you kind of.
Well, kind of.
Yeah,
but
that's integrity.
this isn't a journalist thing to me.
Right.
I mean, I'm not doing this as a news broadcaster here. I'm doing this as a personal interest kind of thing.
Right.
And then we had one person who watched the show, thought it was great, and said, "Well, there's so many different ways you can go with this now. There are different topics that you can bring up with this." And I thought that was a valid point there, and we can.
Yeah, I have a friend that he and we debate all the time on different things and different subjects.
Yeah, what was he talking about? Was that the guy who was talking about the Second Amendment?
No, this was the actually, this was just over the last couple of days. This is a whole, basically he came out and said that Trump called for the cancellation of Kimmel. And I said, well, do we know that? So basically it was just kind of like some fact finding before. And this was posted like right at the moment Kimmel got, he didn't get axed. He got suspended. He didn't get fired. And I think from what I understand, well, from what I understand, they're still in debate. They're still in conversation. I
know they
now.
Talked yesterday. I think it was. Yeah, he talked with the heads of ABC.
Yeah, and depending on which media you're looking at, and I don't know if this is actually factual or not, and please don't flame me if I got this wrong, but apparently they asked him to apologize and he wouldn't. And then,
well, that's what I've noticed. Some of the conservative pundits are saying that they asked him to apologize, and he said he was going to double down.
He's going to double down.
And in fact, we have a Newsmax report with Charlie Sheen in it, where he talks about that. So we'll play that for you, everybody, in a little bit here. Right. But let's get into this now. Number one, you did mention that. Now, Trump may not have said to the FCC head, get rid of this guy. But there have been times in the past, and here's the thing about this. What you need to know about this isn't as much about a guy on TV who's the left against a president who's on the right. This is a pissing contest between Jimmy Kimmel and Donald Trump. Yeah. That's what this is. This started a long time ago, and there are times when Trump did in the past say, Jimmy Kimmel's got to go.
Yes,
he did say that
all the late nights.
He did. He went over each of them, but I mean, Jimmy Kimmel's been the hardest on him, so he's been the hardest on Kimmel, and that's, folks, that's not left or right. That is human nature. If you have someone going after you,
you're going to go after them.
You're going to go after them, and if you don't, then the comment is made, oh, you look weak.
And no one has ever accused Trump of taking the high road.
No,
that will never happen.
And there are people out there, and this is not an X against Trump, but there are people out there that once they grab a hold of something, they're like a pit bull.
Yes.
You have to kill it to get it out of the pit bull's mouth.
Yes.
Because they are not going to let go of it.
That's true.
And Donald Trump is one of those people, and Jimmy Kimmel is the same on the other side.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, I mean, I remember when Donald Trump was on Jimmy Fallon's show. And Jimmy goes, "Can I touch your hair?"
Touch your hair, yeah.
I mean, so it's like there are elements of that, and I firmly believe, and this is me, and I don't watch a lot of Kimmel. I watch him when he interviews people that I want to see. When he interviews actors and actresses that I really like and I want to see, I will watch him. But he has himself, in my opinion, and you may differ with me, he has gotten so divisive and so away from
with the show. Yeah.
from comedy.
Yeah.
He's gotten away from comedy. You know, I mean, you can poke fun at our leaders. You know, that we should be able to do that.
Yeah.
And you should do that without ABC getting a big headache over that.
Right.
But when you make it a point to drill down almost every show, not every show, but almost every show on the president, whether you like him or not, you're putting a target on your head.
Yeah. I honestly stopped watching a lot of the late night shows because their opening monologue for the past year, actually for the last couple of years, even when Trump wasn't in office, was political.
Yeah.
There was, and it's like, if I can't get past the opening monologue, I'm not going to watch the rest of the show. So I'll watch the little highlights and stuff. And it's not that I support Trump or anything. It's just like, I'm coming here for entertainment news.
Right.
I want to see what this person's saying about their book. I want to see the trailer for this new movie that's coming out and hear what the actors, some behind the scenes stuff. And here I am listening about something that's political. And it's like, yeah, no, if I want to do that, I'll go watch MSNBC, I'll go watch Fox, I'll go watch CNN, I'll watch, but, you know.
Now, how do you feel about entertainers trying to sway a movement?
I still go back to that old Johnny Carson interview with, was it Walter No, it wasn't Cronkite. Who was interviewing him? Who was that was interviewing him?
Who was that he was interviewing?
If we can find
Johnny
it,
Carson, maybe we'll start with.
And he said because, he says he has a platform where he can say certain things. And that was,
it's a zero-sum game.
Right.
It's a no-win situation.
It's a no-win situation. And he said, if you're doing this is what his job was, this is what he was hired for, and that's where he's keeping that platform. I think a lot of people just, a lot of actors and famous people, they have influence. They can sway people from one side to the other. And if you have a voice and you want to share it, that's fine. I have no problem with them sharing it. Where I draw the line is, or where I see an issue with, again, is what we know. And this is, again, not a major dig on Kimmel, but when he made his opening monologue, to me, it wasn't a joke.
No, he wasn't joking.
It wasn't a joke.
He wasn't joking.
Two guys walk into a bar. One guy said, that's the beginning of a joke. Yeah. If you're starting off by saying that, the MAGA gang and this is they're trying to frame it as blah blah blah, and the truth had already come out, then I didn't see that no longer as a joke. I just see that adding to the temperature.
And he was trying to be like Bill Maher is on his, and Bill Maher is on, on a station that is not governed by the FCC because it's not over the airways thing. So you got to understand your format. You got to understand the rules and regulations. You got to understand, what your audience is there for. Because
if you look at guys like, I'm trying to think of someone from the right who's been, Officer Tatum, I think is one of the guys that I've watched a few times, and he talks about how things are changed and now the temperature's higher and things are going to get more heated. And he's a YouTuber, so he's not under those same, even though sometimes his words are creating divisiveness. Destiny is another one. He said that Republicans and conservatives needs to fear going out in public speaking because that's where he thinks it should be. It's like we should all be afraid, or they should all be afraid of going out in public and speaking against the left. And it's those guys are not going to be under the same regulations as the FCC.
Well, when it comes to celebrities, I got a clip here. Charlie Sheen was out promoting his new book, his new tell-all book, where he goes into his depravity of over the past years. But the interviewer asked him about what he thought about celebrities having their opinions out in public. Here's what he had to say.
What do we really know about it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And you're trying to, you have an audience that's the whole country, not just half of it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I think we all took a valuable lesson from the last election when Hollywood was rolled out on that stage and everybody was like, you have no idea, you can't speak to the issues that I have to survive, or deal with every day.
So what do you think about, have you seen the Charlie Sheen documentary?
I have not seen the Charlie Sheen documentary. It is on my list of things to do because, I I loved him on 2.5 Men.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know, I loved him when he played a Navy SEAL in that movie. I can't remember.
Navy SEALs.
Navy SEAls, yeah. I loved him in a lot of in the stuff he does. And, you know, I always had this, you know, like aching thing for please get better.
Yeah.
You know, I want you to get better.
Robert Downey Jr. thing, yeah.
Yeah. And so I am looking forward to seeing that. Now, you've seen it.
I've seen it, and honestly, I did not go into it expecting much. A lot of the stuff that I had already knew. But the guy's I mean, he had a lot of shit he had to deal with, and kind of understand like how a lot of these guys get into drugs and whatnot. We're gonna get back on track here in a second, but it was very entertaining. It's very, very eye opening about his life, and you know things that he says, and you'll know his friends will sit there and say things like, "Well, Charlie didn't feel like he deserved or Charlie did not deserve his fame," and it's because that was his own words. He felt like he didn't deserve it and shit like that. It was like, wow, this is pretty profound, pretty good documentary. So
well. I know Bert is dead now, but I would love to see a 2.5 Men reunion where they do a reunion show.
Oh yeah.
I think that would be so fun.
Oh
But anyway, let's get back to what we're talking about.
Back
So one of the other things that happened over the week was that several of the late night show hosts, Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, who are both on network television, and then of course you have Jon Stewart from The Daily Show was also on that. So I think we'll start with. Let me catch my brain here all of a sudden. Stephen Colbert. Let's start with Stephen Colbert on this, and here's what he had to say.
Carr went on a podcast yesterday afternoon and described Jimmy's comments as the sickest conduct possible. Wow, those are strong words. I mean, Jimmy must have really been off the rails. I mean, completely out of control, truly psychotic. Let's see what he said.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving.
Is that the clip? Really? Because that's just Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, given the FCC's response, I was expecting something more, provocative. That's like hearing that Playboy has a racy new centerfold and finding out it's just Jimmy Kimmel.
So, Stephen Colbert, obviously, he has his issues with Donald Trump as well. But, he at least tries to throw some humor and inject some humor into that.
Yeah.
He wasn't, they're friends. He and Jimmy Kimmel are friends. Jimmy Fallon and Kimmel are friends. They all try to support each other. So, I understand that. But again, if you're out in public and you're saying something, or if you're on your YouTube channel,
right,
and you're saying something, then say it. But if some major corporation's giving you a paycheck, I understand the free speech aspect of it, and I understand the media aspect of it. But Jimmy Kimmel's not a news broadcaster.
No.
So when you sit there and say that you are sequestering the media, I don't really see it like that, because he's like I said, it's not Walter Cronkite that they're telling that is lying and stealing all this stuff. They're going after, and in some ways I agree, they're going after the talking heads who are just opinion people.
Right.
Because that's a lot of them. That's all it is. It's their opinion on what they feel about something.
Yeah, and again, I guess I haven't really watched a lot of late night television in years. I mean, I kind of stopped watching it, and it was
I go to bed too early.
That too, and it just again, I mean, I'll be honest. A lot of movies that came out over the last couple of years just been
more interesting.
No,
you've been
less.
bad.
Yeah, just not. I mean, not even something will come up. It's like, oh, we're redoing Cowboy Bebop. I love the animated series. The animated Japanese animation show was like not even a 2 season. Maybe it was 2 seasons in one movie. Then they came out with the live action. Honestly, I was not interested in it at all. It's just like everything was coming out. It was almost like AI was writing the scripts. So I really didn't want to hear actors pushing it. So I didn't watch a lot of it. I used to. So I really didn't watch a lot of these guys open monologues.
Well, and like I said, I kind of did the research and pulled a few of these out. Another one was Jimmy Fallon, and this is what Jimmy Fallon had to say on The Tonight Show.
Well, guys, President Trump just wrapped up his 3-day trip to the UK, and he
looked incredibly handsome.
As always, his tie was
exactly the right length.
And his face looked
like a color that exists in nature.
And his hair looked
better than Conrad's from the summer I turned pretty.
During the trip, protesters managed to project images onto the sides of Windsor Castle of Trump standing next to his good friend, Jeff
Goldblum.
Even though his administration still insists that he's not in the
Goldblum
file, which we all know is absolute bull.
True.
Anyway, to sum it up, President Trump is
making America great again by restoring our national reputation, reinvigorating our economy, and rebuilding our military. I hereby nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize.
And you can quote me on that.
So that's humor.
Right.
And you can watch his mouth. He's really not saying anything under there. So he's not really saying anything bad, and then they're dubbing it. They're just dubbing it and him moving his mouth.
It's all humor. That's.
And so that's the difference there. And again, they stick up for their friend. One of the things, and I think I don't know if it was Ben Shapiro or Haley. I can't remember her last name right now. I've got a Corina. But they were talking about how Stewart did this 23-minute monologue, and all it was him interrupting the show to talk about Trump. But it's his show, so
Yeah.
and he's not on the airways, so he's not subject to the same things that Kimmel was subject to. But it was still pretty funny, I thought.
Jon Stewart is still funny. I watched I will watch a highlight here and there, and I knew that after Kimmel getting suspended, not terminated, suspended, that he was going to have something. And I did watch it, and I thought it was funny. Yeah. I thought it was very, very funny. But Jon Stewart, he could still convey his political beliefs. He could still discuss an argument. He can still have his talking points and still make it funny.
It's the tone he takes.
It's the tone he takes. Yeah.
Now here's a clip of him, and all it is his opening statement, and it doesn't go into the content of the 23 minutes. I wasn't about to do that, but it's his opening statement. And I think it's pretty funny. Listen.
From Comedy Central, it's the all-new government-approved Daily Show with your patriotically obedient host, Jon Stewart.
My name is Jon Stewart, and welcome to the Daily Show on, I'm going to guess, Monday. I don't know. We have another fun, hilarious, administration-compliant show.
So that's sort of the left side of everything there. That's kind of what we looked at from that aspect. And again, they're trying to be funny. They're trying to be humorous. They still feel that it's serious. Again, they do feel that. And even Jay Leno said on a comment that he made that, comedians, this is what comedians do.
Right.
But again, there has to be, I'm for being funny.
Yes.
But I'm not for being cruel and hateful and mean while you're being funny.
Yes.
And I don't think that's, I think that's going a little bit too far.
And being very divisive. I mean, you can be funny. You can be funny about politics. You can rip Trump a new one. You can rip Biden a new one. You can go through all that stuff and still not try to separate the country.
Yeah.
Once you start alienating, which most of these guys have already alienated half of their viewer base anyway. I think Kimmel went from like 700 something thousand to like like 160,000 viewership, I think, within the last year or so. I could be wrong with those numbers. If you guys want to fact check me, please do.
I think his 25 to 50 were still pretty good. When I just looked at it yesterday.
Was it?
His 25 to 50 ratings were still pretty reasonable. Now he's still third.
Mm-hmm.
He's still third. Colbert is number one. The guy who got canned from CBS, and he's still working. Which is interesting that Colbert's still allowed to be on CBS and say what he wants to say. And CBS hasn't decided to pull him. I find that interesting.
Well, they're also two different networks too, right?
Well, they are two different networks.
So I mean, but Disney's stock, I don't believe, dropped that much. I think it went from 130 something to like 120, and people are saying a lot of that drop was during the whole woke stage, and woke videos, woke movies, woke ideology, and everything, and their stock started to kind of tank a little bit. Well, they call it the unbreakable stock at one point in time. Disney was only going to go up.
But now you've got a lot of entertainers in that are saying, and I don't know if it's a lot, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but I know there's a few that have gone out there and said, we're not going to do anything with Disney unless they fix this.
Right. Yeah, and I see, oh my God, in the Facebook posts, every now and then I'll see something, because you get that little algorithm as you're scrolling, and it's just like at the bottom of every line, I've canceled my Disney subscription, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, and it's going to sound kind of mean, but I'm thinking maybe I'll get a discount on my subscription.
Well,
maybe they'll get it. Maybe it gets cheaper now to keep us.
I canceled my Disney subscription as well, but I did it before this. I did it because I wasn't seeing anything I really wanted to watch on Disney.
Yeah.
Hulu, as long as I have my Spectrum cable, the Hulu shows that are shown on some other show, I can get on demand on my Spectrum. So I just really saved myself, $32 a month.
Yeah.
So it had nothing to do with the politics or what was going on there. It was just that, there's nothing on there that I really wanted to watch.
There's not a lot on any of those programs. I mean, any of those paid things, especially when it used to be a time you'd pay your $10 and you get to watch a movie. Now you pay your $10, you get to watch a movie and a shitload of commercials.
Yeah.
And it went from like 30-second like little intervals to now it's like a minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah, 90 seconds.
90 seconds. You got to wait, and they're the same freaking commercials over and over and over again. So yeah, I mean,
but I still pay if I can find the extra to pay, I'll pay the extra.
Yeah.
Like Amazon, you don't pay for Amazon programs, but you might pay for Paramount Plus programs if I do that aspect of it. So, but anyway, I've still got my Amazon. I've still got my Netflix. Mm-hmm. I'm debating on Apple because Apple's got 2 programs on that I really like, and I know Ted Lasso's coming back.
Silo's coming back.
And then the one morning show.
The morning
show.
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon.
I've not seen that yet.
Oh my gosh.
Is it real good?
Yeah, let's not get it. We'll get so sidetracked if I start talking about that.
Have to make a whole episode on that.
Yeah. So let's go now to the right side, and because we're not picking one side over the other, and I wanted to go to something that Ben Shapiro said, and Ben Shapiro made a very good point here, talking about things that aren't broken, you shouldn't try to fix. Listen to Ben.
I do not want the FCC in the business of telling local affiliates that their licenses will be removed if they broadcast material that the FCC deems to be informationally false. Why? Because one day the shoe will be on the other foot. I know that we've gotten out of the habit of this. I know that there are a lot of people on the right who say the shoe will never be on the other foot. And if it is, the left will just do it anyway. Here is the thing. Preemptively breaking things because you believe that the left is going to break the things makes the things broken, and you can't unbreak the things. So I'm an advocate of the idea that things that are not yet broken probably should not be.
So he talks fast, but in that particular clip, he makes a lot of sense. Now, he's not backing off his positions on what he believes and things like that. He was just saying that, if you do something against them now, they're going to do it against you.
Right.
And that's proven out. In the first go around, impeaching Trump, then trying to impeach Biden, then, going back and forth in that. And that's just the way it is. One entity gets in power and they try to put the brakes on the other one.
Pulling their security details. Yeah. No, it's childish stuff. So sometimes but they do. They go with each other for exactly the same things.
Now, here's a clip from Gutfeld. Did you ever watch any Gutfeld?
I do watch Gutfeld. I have to admit, because he's pretty funny to me. I like watching him, and Gutfeld is more to the right. He's definitely more conservative, but yeah, I like watching Gutfeld. I like the humor.
Now, listen to what he says. I mean, he's not a fan of Jimmy Kimmel, so listen to what he says about Jimmy.
So ABC yanked Jimmy Kimmel off the air, and now as much as I'd like to take credit, his demise was caused by another asshole, one named Jimmy Kimmel. He's gone indefinitely, which is like saying Amelia Earhart's flight is delayed. Turns out you can't blindly lie to a million viewers and say Charlie Kirk's killer was MAGA, especially since the shooter appears to be a lefty, meaning he's more in line with Kimmel than Kirk.
Now, I don't know if you listen closely there, but Gutfeld actually admitted in that he was an asshole. And then he called Jimmy Kimmel one as well. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, Gutfeld knows how people take him.
He never holds back on that. He does that to his guests too. He'll still call people out. There's a comedian that goes on there all the time, and the guy had a really messy divorce, and Gutfeld just wipes the floor with it every single time he's on there about it. So he's a bit of an asshole.
That was his take on that.
Gutfeld he's a really interesting show. I try to watch a lot of them, but mostly it's just mostly just humor. It's all political humor, but it is humor.
Now, our last shot from the right-hand side is Haley Corinia. She was on Dan Bongino's show, and she had this to say about Jimmy Kimmel.
All of this could have been avoided, by the way, by telling jokes. If Jimmy Kimmel just told good, funny jokes, even political ones, instead of auditioning for Rachel Maddow's position on MSNBC every night, he would be in a much different position. Although I think in general, people are kind of like sick of politics and comedy. I think it can be funny at times. But I think if Jimmy went back to his cultural roots and just told good jokes, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
So I find that very on point.
I agree 100%. Again, like I said, I used to watch late night television for the jokes, the comedy, the up and coming. Sinbad aired on Johnny Carson first, after doing, what was it? It was the old version of America Got Talent. What was the name of that show? Star Search.
Star Search.
He was on Ed McMahon.
Yeah.
That was what that show was all about. Now it's not that anymore.
No. And, there was, even when Johnny Carson had on some controversial guests on there, it was never to the point it is today.
No. I remember, what was it, Crispin Glover? No, Crispin Glover was David Letterman, where he came out and he was like completely stoned and he was like kicking the air and shit. And then you have, it's funny. If you have not seen that,
we had Joaquin Phoenix was doing that whole...
When he retired?
Well, yeah, the whole thing where he was like with the beard and everything, and he was actually playing a character, and nobody was really sure. Even Letterman wasn't sure what was going on there.
That's a good movie if you've never seen that.
No, I haven't seen it.
I'm Still Here with Joaquin Phoenix, and it's about him retiring acting to become a rapper.
Oh.
But then just check it out. And then I watch a lot of that stuff. What was it? Andy Kaufman, when he was fighting with the wrestler guy, and the guy smacked the shit out of him, and he ended up in like the neck brace and all that stuff. So a lot of controversial stuff, but none of it was ever divisive enough to try to split the country.
No,
was not, no.
Although you had your Don Rickles.
Oh my God!
Who he
Mr.
offended
Warmth.
Everybody,
right? Equally.
He
was equal opportunity
offender. But we've gotten so jaded and so incredibly desensitized, or maybe not desensitized, maybe oversensitized. Oversensitized to everything that's going on here, and I'm just like, like I think I said last week, during the week when I'm thinking about what we're going to talk about, I'm sometimes stressing because I want to be entertaining and I want to talk to folks about stuff, but I don't. Yeah, but I don't want them to think that this is all that serious.
Right.
We might make a point or two here or there, but I certainly, like in my real job, I want to state what's going on, and without my personal opinion in it.
Right.
I mean, if I give you my personal opinion, I will say this is my personal opinion. But that will be the end of it.
Yeah. And even then, I mean, again, like I said, there's a friend that I have that he and I, we go back and forth all day long, every day.
What's his name?
I won't say it. I can't say his name.
Come
Can't say his name, but he
Come
knows
on.
because he actually asked me about the podcast, and I just gave him that information. So hopefully he's watching. If he's watching, and you know how you and I are, you know I still love you.
Give him permission to say your name because we can
if you would like to do. Well, actually, you know, it'd be kind of cool.
We
to
can
have
shout
him
out
on.
to him.
Yeah,
Have him on?
I love
Yeah,
to
we'll
shout
have
him out. We worked together for years, and he's a good friend. In fact, when we were out in the pontoon boat, he was in town, and he was like, "I would have messaged you, but I figured you were busy." And I was like, "Dude, you know, we went to shore and got you.
Yeah,
we'd have picked you up.
We'd have picked him up.
Yeah, I mean, no,
I hate that.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, that's kind of what politics should be.
Yeah,
right.
You don't have to be on the same side, but you can be friends.
You can still be friends. We can still be friends. I mean, you know, I don't hate anybody. I don't want anybody to get hurt or any, you know. And I think that's where we all need to get back to. We need to get back to that point to where, like you said earlier, and if you want to repeat it, please do. I think we were talking about what Charlie Kirk says, like 8 to 10% of politicians on both sides. 5
to 8% of the country is far left. Mm-hmm. The other there's 5 to 8% that are far right. Everybody else falls in between that.
Right.
You know? And I have people on the 5 to 8% on the left that are my friends that will always be my friends. I have people on the 5 to 8% on the right that are my friends that will always be my friends because they're my friends.
Yep.
You know, they're almost like family, and you don't throw people away on stuff that really
doesn't. Yeah.
You and I can do nothing about the political future of our country.
We will never change.
We will never change what's happening on there.
Doesn't matter what sign we hold up, how many horns we honk. It doesn't matter any of that. We're not going to change anything. We're not going to change your mind. We're not going to try to get you to change yours. You probably won't change ours. So none of that's going to.
Yeah. So why make it a big deal?
Right.
Why make it such a big deal that you voted for him, you voted for her? What difference does it make?
Right. And the funny thing is, and you know, I think people can look deep down. This is where I'm not going to try to change your mind, but at least put a little thought. Imagine you have a friend that you've been around for 20 years, right? 20-year friendship. All of a sudden, one day you find out that they're Republican, or you find out that they're, you know, a Democrat. And all of a sudden, now you don't want to be friends. So for that whole 20 years, you've been friends. There's been nothing to define your friendship other than what you guys have done. Yeah. And now one difference is going to break that. And I see that. I see that happening with a lot of people. It's like you can be friends. Oh, this person's a great person. Is a great person. Oh, well, you know, they're Republican. Oh, they're Democrat. Yeah, I don't know if I want to hang around that person anymore.
But to your point, though, and this is, I'm not trying to beat up on you, but if you've known someone for 20 years and you don't know where they stand politically,
I have friends.
You have friends that you know?
Oh, I've had most of my, because you know what? We never talk politics.
Oh, wow.
We never talk politics, and it wasn't.
I never talk politics with my friends either. Mm-mm. But I know from the way they act what side they're on.
I have speculations, but I never even really dive into looking at it because it doesn't really matter. That's the whole thing. It wouldn't matter to me if my friends are Republicans or my friends are Democrats. Right. It would never matter. No. So it was not something I really, but yeah, you're right. If you look at the way they carry themselves, you know, I got friends that are just completely all about their guns. Mm-hmm. It doesn't take far to know that they're more likely conservative.
I've got a friend who retired from the military, but we just had a conversation on the phone the other day, and I made some off the thing comment. He goes, "Oh, you're making this politically uncomfortable right now." So you know, it's like I know this. You know, I know this. Well, let's kind of finish this up here. I put down some information here, and I don't know if I'll share it with everybody here, but Jimmy Kimmel is not the first to have gone through this.
No.
All right, let's go back. Howard Cosell in 1983 called a black player the little monkey on Monday Night Football.
Little monkey go.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Resigned at the end of the season. All right. 1988. All right. 5 years later, CBS fired Jimmy the Greek for racially charged remarks about black athletes being bred for strength.
Bred for strength. Remember that one too?
Yeah, I remember that one too. Marv Albert, 1997, fired by NBC after pleading guilty to sexual assault later returned to broadcasting. That's an interesting one. Rush Limbaugh forced to resign from ESPN NFL coverage because he was on that for a little while after saying QB Donovan McNabb was overrated due to media wanting a successful black quarterback.
I remember that.
Don Imus. Everybody remembers Don Imus, fired from CBS Radio and MSNBC, canceled his simulcast after racist, sexist slurs toward the Rutgers women's basketball team.
I don't remember that one.
You don't remember that? I remember that. Kurt Schilling, baseball player, fired by ESPN after repeated controversial posts, including anti-transgender comments. That was back in 2016.
Wow.
All right, now on the comedians and actors, Michael Richards. I think everybody remembers his comedy show appearance where
that was pretty bad.
Collapsed after a stand-up rant where he hurled racial slurs at hecklers.
That was. I don't know if you've never seen that. I don't even know if that's even available.
I think you can find it. I'm sure you can find it.
Pretty sure. Maybe in a dark web.
Gilbert Gottfried fired as Aflac's duck voice after tweeting tsunami jokes about Japan.
I never heard that, but I knew the voice had changed.
Yeah,
it explains a lot.
Kathy Griffin. Everybody remembers her holding the fake head of Trump beheaded.
Yeah,
that was 2017. Roseanne Barr canceled on her rebooted sitcom after a racist tweet about Valerie Jarrett. No, I remember the tweet, but I don't remember. Valerie Jarrett.
I don't remember Valerie Jarrett. Now, I remember her getting canceled, and I thought it was for something else, to be honest with you. But I
thought it was too.
I thought it was something else.
Yeah.
But
Nick Cannon. He was fired by Viacom CBS over anti-Semitic comments on a podcast. Later kept on Fox's Masked Singer after apologizing.
Well, he's got child support payments.
Well, you got to pay a lot. You got to pay a lot of money.
He's going to need those jobs.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Don't sue me, Nick.
Yeah, no. But he made the anti-Semitic comments on a podcast. So you're not free, even if we're on a podcast like we are. We're not free from getting canceled. Right.
Yeah, because an employer for one company can if their company policy is stated such, can terminate you for saying something that's not even related to that particular job. So,
TV and radio host Bill Maher, politically incorrect, was canceled after 9/11 comments calling U.S. military actions cowardly and saying the hijackers were not.
Oof.
I can see that. Dr. Laura, remember Laura Schlesinger? All right. In 2010, ended her radio show after repeated on-air use of the N-word during a call-in.
Ooh, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I don't remember that one either. Phil Robertson from Duck Dynasty, suspended by A&E after anti-gay and racially insensitive remarks in a GQ interview, later reinstated due to fan backlash. So, fans, if you want to see Jimmy Kimmel back, you know what to do. All right, Paula Deen, she dropped the N-word.
Mrs. Butter.
Oh, man.
The Butter Queen.
Yeah, that was 2013. Megyn Kelly. Who is now, she is staunch out there now.
She ranks within the top 10,
she
right?
Is.
Of podcasters, I think.
But Megyn Kelly today was canceled after she defended blackface Halloween costumes on air.
I remember that now.
Yeah, Okay. And then Mel Gibson, everyone remembers his arrest, and he was anti-Semitic remarks and blaming everything on Israel and on the Jews, and
oh my God,
he got canceled for that. And then Robert Downey Jr. came on and brought. Did you see that in it where he was accepting an award? And
Robert Downey Jr. brought him up.
He talked about apologizing, and he says, "I wouldn't have a second chance today if it weren't for Mel Gibson."
Yeah.
And little did Mel Gibson know that when I paid it forward, it would be for him. So. Yeah. But anyway, again, my personal belief is Jimmy Kimmel should have realized that he was working for somebody else when he made the statements. Now, on the other side of that, he'd been getting away with it so long, he had no reason to believe that he was in jeopardy.
Right. I did see somewhere he got suspended once before a long time ago, but I don't know. You guys can look that up. I think it was in 2005. I think he got suspended for something that he had said, but again, got reinstated. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. You got to be careful what you say, regardless. You have an audience, you have a responsibility.
Well, and again, he's supposed to be late night humor.
It's supposed to be humor. And that was not a joke.
Humor and talk.
There was nothing. There was
nothing in there that was a joke.
And I don't know if that's, to me, I don't know if that really constitutes a First Amendment attack. I mean, he basically went off the rails.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech is not the freedom of first of all, freedom of speech, you can say what you want.
But there are consequences.
But there are consequences.
You got to pay for the consequences.
Especially if you're telling, one, kind of an untruth, and number two, if you're saying something that really is kind of divisive enough to split the country. I mean, basically, it was not.
And then the last thing I'll say on it is, the only thing I will say is that, like in Stephen Colbert's comment, he looked at the comment that Jimmy Kimmel made. He played it on the air, and he goes, "Is that all he said?" Because everybody was saying that he was saying something bad about Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't say anything bad about Charlie Kirk.
It was not about Charlie Kirk.
And in fact, we have, let's play this last thing. This is Jimmy Kimmel on after the assassination. This is what he said. And I believe this was heartfelt about the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Still trying to wrap our heads around the senseless murder of the popular podcaster and conservative activist Charlie Kirk yesterday, whose death has amplified our anger, our differences. And I've seen a lot of extraordinarily vile responses to this from both sides of the political spectrum. Some people are cheering this, which is something I won't ever understand.
And to end that, maybe he'll be back on TV again. Maybe he won't. What was he making? $80 million a year?
Oh my God! No, I did not know he was.
I didn't know he was making that, but he'll be all right. You don't have to worry about it.
Didn't he just buy another home too?
Yeah.
Right? It's
Don't send him money. There's no GoFundMe page for Jimmy Kimmel. He doesn't need your money.
And if you do see a GoFundMe page for Jimmy Kimmel, don't give to it because it's not for Jimmy Kimmel.
Right.
I can promise you that.
Now I will say, we have not made those viral videos to the extent where we are raking in any dough here. So if you could go to our website, these2guys.com, we got a whole bunch of items on there that you can purchase, that you can help support us. And Larry's even getting a cut if we make any money off it.
I might even buy myself a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
but
there you go.
And also too, subscribe. Again, doesn't cost you anything. It's not like you hit subscribe button and all of a sudden $20 a month is going to come out of your checking account. It doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, it doesn't cost you anything to like and subscribe. And now maybe you're not familiar with how this works, but when we get to a certain amount of viewers, the advertising revenue from YouTube will start coming to us. So it's not anything that you're spending, not anything out of your pocket. You're just enjoying the program and supporting us.
And you'll kind of know when we've made it because we'll start pushing items onto you like buy gold, or try this program or try this product. And we see that, you'll know that you guys have helped push us to that next plateau.
Now, what I will tell you, I'll give you a little preview of something here. And Larry doesn't know about this yet. But Larry, have you seen the pop-up videos of the people with the O-Pop popcorn?
No.
They get they buy the little rubber bowl and they get all these different packets of pre-seasoned popcorn and they all open them. Well, I got us an order of that, and I got us a couple of aprons, these two guys' aprons, and we are going to go in the kitchen and we are going to open this when it comes, and we are going to pop it. We're going to put our video up there and see if we can get some traction on that.
That sounds awesome. And for those who don't know me, and there's people who do, I could live off of popcorn. If that was the only thing I could eat, if somebody says you can eat one food for the rest of your life and that's going to be what you're going to live on, it would be popcorn. So that sounds awesome.
So if you want to check that out or some of that, it's opop.com, I believe is what it is. But you can just video search it or Google search it there and you'll see it come up. And these apparently it's really good. But Larry and I are going to let you know for sure as soon as we get the package.
And I am an aficionado when it comes to popcorn.
There you go.
I'll be honest.
Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for staying all the way to the end here. We appreciate you. Leave comments. We're glad to hear your comments. If they're nasty comments, they won't be on there long. I'll just tell you that right now. But no, we sure do appreciate all of you.
Yep. One love. And remember, love your neighbors, love your friends, love everybody. If you try, at least try to.
Yeah. He got a little Bob Marley on us there, didn't he?
I was. I think,
One love.
I should do dreadlocks the next
You got to grow hair first.
It'll take about 5 years. I think I can get there if I don't cut it between now and then.
Hey, thanks for watching.
Take care. Peace out.
It's these two guys.
These two guys.
It's these two guys.